page 16. With a song of welcome. Technically, we're welcoming angels, and we're saying you should come and spend time with us. And at the end, we're going to say goodbye to them. But I think we're also welcoming each other. We're welcoming every bit of joy that we can, every bit of life that we can into this room, every bit of who we are. Please join with me. Shalom Aleichem on page 16. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashavim, Malachei
to celebrate Shabbat with whom to celebrate Shabbat, and to have Bree and Hannah up here to celebrate Shabbat with us. With Rivka sitting between them as their tutor, both of their tutors. To have Mariana up here on the piano. It is always a joy to be singing along with Mariana. And Heather Rachel is here. We're standing this week, which is a big step for us. It's very exciting to be standing. I came across this poem this week by the ancient Persian poet Hafiz. And I like it, so I'm going to share it with you. One of the joys I have in the microphone, I get to share a poem. I like it. It's a short poem. I have 1,000 brilliant lies for the question, how are you? I have 1,000 brilliant lies for the question, what is God? If you think that the truth can be known from words, if you think the sun and the ocean can pass through that tiny opening called the mouth, oh, someone should stop. Oh, someone should start laughing. Someone should start wildly laughing now. Aside from the fact that I messed it up, I do love this tiny little poem. This idea of life is beyond what we can make of it with the words out of our mouth. But we need help with it, with expressing our different emotions. Somebody said that emotions used to be boiled down to just 3. There was happy, there was sad, there was ticked off. And to think about how many more emotions we have and how hard it is to express all these big complex feelings that we have. We hope that we can come in here and leave everything else outside. Leave the whole week outside and come in here with just us, just each other, just our souls, just who we are. So I invite you to turn to each other. Some of you know each other. If you came in with the person sitting next to you, don't turn to them. Turn to somebody else and just say, Shabbat Shalom. You can introduce yourself. Hello. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Rabbi Rachel. Pleasure. And so glad you're joining us. We just had a preschool Shabbat service outside. And it's so sweet to watch these kids. Some of them, it's their first time ever coming for a Shabbat program, singing songs with us. Some of the same songs we'll sing tonight, trying to find a way to express emotions and joy and connection to God and connection to how we feel. We'll begin with the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat. We're on page 22. For those of you who are joining us from home, they're using a home edition of Kabbalat tonight. We're on page 11 and 11.
sing to the Lord. We're going to come back together at the bottom of the page for the last two lines, starting with Arba'im Shana, and then we're going to turn the page. And we're going to sing a new song that might sound familiar if you've sung it before. It's also a very, very, very old song, but it's a new song. But first, we're going to sing the two lines at the bottom of the page. Arba'im Shana, Akut Bedo. Shir Ladona, Shir Ladona. So you might recognize this song already from what Mariana's playing. The bottom of page 30, a couple lines from Psalm 99. And in a friendly wager, not a little wager, of course, but with the little ones outside, we sang this song. And I said I wanted to see who got more into it. The little ones outside or the big people in here. So this is a challenge to you. When I say key, what do you say?
Key.
Key. Let's practice. Key.
Key.
There we go. Awesome. Are you ready? Honestly, I'm not sure who was louder, and I think the only solution is that next time there's a top Shabbat, all of you should come too.
Oh my
We'll sing it
gosh.
together.
Wouldn't that be beautiful?
I think so.
There's not enough room in the tent outside for that.
Good problem to have.
Let's take a moment before we do the highlight. Let's give the note mitzvah just one more second to catch the breaths. Let's check in with all of you. Anybody have something they want to share? A highlight of the week, something nice that happened this week, or something nice that's going to happen the week ahead? It's either a rose if it already happened, or a bud if it's about to blossom and bloom and become hopefully a rose in the days to come. Anybody have something they want to share? I'll take a look online too. Evgenia,
Yes.
what possibly do you have that's so exciting? I like to have?
Anna's bat mitzvah. And we have all the family here.
We have all the family here for hands on. Anybody want to try to match that? Deborah.
Oh my goodness, Bree's bat mitzvah.
Oh my gosh, it's Bree's mom too.
And her birthday is actually tomorrow.
Tomorrow is your birthday, which is very exciting to have your bat mitzvah on your 13th birthday, which happens to be Shabbos. It's nice when it works out that way. That's one we got. Don't try to match that now. That's a high bar for you to set. First, anybody else has something you just want to share? Something positive, something happy, or if you're vulnerable, something that's not so good to share with us. And
I had a very unusual experience this morning. My fan broke, and I have a diesel ceiling fan. And I was really concerned about how expensive it was going to be to fix. So I called the repair place, and the woman who just answered the phone, she's not a repair person, spent 20 minutes on the phone helping me reprogram power. And you know, it was just so generous with her. And it worked. After 20 minutes, we finally got it to work. So I said, you know, you were so generous. I wanted you to send me flowers or squeeze candy. And she said, well, would you make a donation to the scholarship program that I support? And so I did. And it just felt like such a great way to thank her.
that's amazing. Beautiful. I feel like somehow, Anne, you have these stories of finding angels.
I do.
And part of it is maybe you're lucky that way. Part of it is your eyes are open to finding these angels in the world. And all of us should be that blessed to find the people who help us along our journey in little tiny ways. Last time it was somebody who helped you with a tire pressure. There's a little thing that anybody else may have just silently acknowledged and gone on with their day. The fact that it stays with you for long enough to be thankful, to be grateful, is really amazing. So how nice that you have that to share with us. So thank you again. Others who have some nice birthdays, anniversaries, big trips. I think we're online. Something want to share? Wait, we have one online. All right, John shared celebrated the 86th birthday of his mother-in-law and a walk on, if I saw it correctly in the quick scroll, a walk along the beach, which is nice. Sometimes we forget how close we live, which is such beautiful things. We were saying that if you need a vacation, kind of go 2 hours in any direction from here. You'll find a harbor, you'll find a mountain, you'll find a beach, you'll find a quiet town, you'll find something that suits you, that it just feels very different from where you currently are. So how nice to be able to take advantage of that. Thank you, John, for sharing that. Others? Yes, please.
So, for this special occasion, I have all of my children and grandchildren in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
A few other relatives.
It's nice to have children and grandchildren and other relatives all in the same place at the same time. I'm in that other stage of my life, when I feel that excitement, when I don't have all of the kids in the same place at the same time. Oh, two or somewhere else right now. Oh, this is so much easier. But how nice to invite them back in and feel close with them. I love them. It's like I can see grandkids. We're excited to see you and other family as well. That's wonderful. For all of these things, we'll say a bracha, we'll say a blessing, which is Hatov V'Hametit. So join the people. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, just to say, I said that outside, I'll say it here. Some of our close friends just had a baby today. The father, the members of the synagogue, I haven't known the father for like 35 years. I haven't known the mother for about 10 years. I got to officiate their wedding however many years ago. And now I was the first one in the hospital, if you're watching. I was the first one in the hospital with them today. Not even grandparents were in the room just yet. It was them and a nurse and nurses and me getting to see this brand new tiny little baby just a couple of hours old. And what a blessing it is. So God willing, we have a brisk here in a couple of days. But just nice to have those little things to look forward to. So we'll say the blessing together. This is Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Hatov V'Hametiv. I'd like to invite up our beloved mitzvah now. Each take a microphone. singing a Prado B, we're on page 38, online page 23. please rise and face the door. You may be seated. Turn to page 42. If you're joining us in the online Siddur, you're on page 28, the little carrot, Sadiq Hatumar. The righteous will flourish like the palm tree. You will thrive like the cedar of Lebanon. From early on, it was ingrained in me the importance of hard work. My dad started working in his father's liquor store when he was 7 years old, something like that. His picture, you lugging the crates of whatever drinks they were, we didn't know what they were at the time, around. And just the idea of hard work was brought into my mind early on. And I think my first job that I had was working at a religious school. I was probably about 13 or 14 years old. At Beth Haverim Al Shalom. And I was a TA in the classrooms, the same way that Sarah and Hannah are TAs in the classroom, and helping kids who are sometimes not much younger than I am. I remember being like 13 or 14, the kids in the classroom were about 10. And back then it's a huge age difference. And now some of my close friends were in that classroom and how close I felt to them. This idea of hard work was so important. It's ingrained in the Torah that 6 days you shall work. Work is very important to us as a people. And yet we read the news these days. And the one headline popped up today that 4.4 million people quit their jobs in September. It's the biggest resignation on record that we have record of. The reasons for this mass resignation and the ongoing resignations in the last 2 years, actually goes before the pandemic started. What's the reason for this? And so some blame this unemployment. Some blame this on unemployment benefits being too high. And people were making money just sitting at home, twiddling their thumbs. They're making more money doing that than actually working. For those unemployment benefits ran out 2 months ago. The numbers have not changed, they've actually grown. Some people are saying that maybe it's, people are skeptical about going back to work. They don't feel safe due to lax mandates, or they feel constricted by too many mandates. Or maybe people saved money during the pandemic by not traveling or eating in restaurants as much, that a bit of cushion to take some time off. Maybe times are changing and people are developing home-based industries, which is wonderful, but also slows down all of the in-person businesses. Or coming so close to death and the realization that life is short. We're not interested in feeling that what we do for a living is a job, and not the things that we hope to be doing, what I want to be remembered for, not just what I do for a living, but how I live my life. Some are willing to make far less money if it means that they get to be happier. They don't have to deal with a cruel boss or rude customers. And if one employee realizes that they are essential, but don't feel appreciated, either in salary or benefits or kindness, they leave, and then it multiplies. Others realize that they also want something better, and then you get a Chipotle with no staff, with a paper sign taped to the door saying, "You all quit." Many people are rethinking what work means to them, how they're valued, and how they spend their time. After I graduated college, the first real job I had, the first real job I had, was at the Gersh agency. It was a talent agency where they worked us, or we worked ourselves, from before sunrise to after sunset. It was not unusual. I would have all 3 meals of the day sitting at my desk. I was not chained there, but it felt like I was. The guy down the hall, I thought a tough job. The guy down the hall from me had an easier job. His name is Michael. He had an easy job, the easiest job of the whole row of us sitting at cubicles. And he had a heart attack by sitting there. His doctor blamed him for working too much. He came in 2 hours after me, left 2 hours before me every day. I think that's what caused him. Phil was the guy who filled in for him. Makes sense that his name is Phil. Phil filled in for him. And Phil then got some sort of eye condition that his ophthalmologist said is related to the fact that he was working too hard. And then I developed ulcers that maybe or maybe not were related to the fact that I was working too hard. And when I left, I went somewhere that was not as pleasant. And then I started volunteering, trying to cleanse my soul, thinking that's the path that my life needed to take. And when I told some other people, when I told some family members that I left my job because it was too stressful, I didn't like it, and I didn't feel it was satisfying to me, even though it felt like it was a career path for me. A lot of the people I knew then followed suit. They also left their jobs. People came up to me, people who were 20 and 30 years older than I was, would see me at Pesach or at Hanukkah or at some other family celebration and say, "You inspired me." I said, "What did I do?" They said, "You left a job you didn't like." I had a job I didn't like. I had a boss I didn't like. And it was time for me to change. I didn't realize it until somebody else opened my eyes. And that's what part of this mass resignation is one person feels uncomfortable with their job. And other people then follow suit. He's right. I don't like working here. I don't like being demanded. I don't like working for very little money that after 4 years haven't gotten a raise. I don't like being scraped at. I want something different for my life, and I'm willing to live somewhere less desirable. I'm willing to pick up and move out of LA or New York or San Francisco and move to, I don't want to name names of cities in case there are places that you live in, wonderful. But move in places that are less expensive, it means I get to live the life that I want to live. Many of the jobs that we see that are vacant right now are in hospitality, which is a difficult industry to begin with. But adding on to the battles with updated mandates and whether the employee agrees with them or not, fighting the patrons about whatever it is, wearing a mask, add to the stress of their regular jobs. And then knowing that if you disagree with a patron, that they won't leave a tip and you go home losing money at the end of the day. After a long shift, many workers went home without a living wage. In the US, 42% of women and 35% of men in 2021 said they almost always feel burned out. 76% of US healthcare workers reported exhaustion and burnout. And of course, as I read these statistics this week, as it kept on flashing up on all of my news websites, and even the ones I don't even need to be news websites, just my phone picks up with this stuff. I can't help but put on my rabbi hat and think of the parsha this week. I think of Jacob, our ancestor. He came to his uncle Lavan in need of a job and a place to live. Lavan took advantage of the situation and debased his nephew, his employee. Jacob worked hard for years, despite being cheated. Jacob made Laban a very rich man and had nothing to show for it. Laban's property grew, his flock grew, his farmland was successful. Jacob raised the animals and dug wells and put in more than he needed to. He broke his back for decades for an ungrateful boss. And this week, tomorrow morning, Bree's family is going to be grieving about Jacob leaving. Laban cannot understand why. Why? What did I do wrong? What could I have done to upset him so much? You have a roof over your head and food to eat and wives and children. I gave all of this to you. What more could you want? You have salary. How could you walk away? After 20 years of abuse, of unfair wages and unfair hours and unfair work conditions, Jacob has had it. Laban is not a good boss. He goes through Jacob's personal belongings and is unkind. Jacob has never taken a sick day, has never had a bad month in terms of productivity, didn't complain when he had to do physical labor in the heat of a summer's day, nor when he warded off frost in the cold winter nights. He never ate meat for fear it would look like he was taking too much. He is essential, but he's not appreciated. Judaism believes in the importance of work, but also believes in treating employees fairly. Perhaps it starts with this story. Jacob has no chance of promotion or advancement, let alone being treated as a human being. It's no surprise that he walks out. It's no surprise that he starts a new life. He would rather face his greatest fears in the unknown: wilderness, his estranged brother, marauders, unemployment, than stay in a thankless job. He moves his own story forward, and how the world has changed because of that. I can only hope that I have learned from this story. Do I treat people fairly? Do I take the side of Jacob in disagreements, or do I side with the person in power, with Laban who abuses his role? From my time in the workforce, I know how hard this decision truly is. I look forward to following Jacob's story as it unfolds tomorrow afternoon, and next week, and next month, as it unfolds in uncertainty, and ultimately in success, as it's passed down through Jacob, through his sons, through their children, and finally come to us. Shabbat shalom. If you're able, please rise. I'll invite up Marina, Josh, and Daniel to come up and open up the ark for us. I'll invite up Hannah and Bree to each take a microphone to lead us in the words of Baruch Hu. We're on page 50 in our Siddur. If you're joining us online, we're on page 39. With the ark closed, you may be seated.
We turn the page and find Ahavat Olam. I like to call this part of our service a love sandwich. Bear with me. Ahavat Olam literally means this never-ending love. It's talking about God's love for us and the idea that there are countless ways every day, kind of like this story, playing out in the universe. So we sing Ahavat Olam, we say the Shema, that's the inside of our sandwich, and then immediately after the Shema, we say the V'ahavta, which is listing ways that we can show love to God. And it's this love that nourishes us. So please sing along with me. Ahavat Olam on page 50. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, on page 60. Online it's probably a different page number. Yes, but I'm probably wrong. This is our song of the sea. This is where our ancestors stood with an army behind them and waters before them. And they had faith. And here we are today. So whatever the army is in your life, or whatever the waters are in your life, I hope you can get strength from this song that we sing together. just remind everyone and myself included. Breathe. Take a deep breath. In and out. And to welcome some peace. In. As we remember that we are sheltered in all that we do.
On page 64, or if you're joining us online, page 46. Vishamru. The question is, how do you make Shabbat different? That's what Vishamru is asking you. This is a day that reminds us of the creation of the world, reminds us of the most glorious thing, it reminds us of all of the intricacies that are in the world, all of the unknowns, all the uncertainties, and all the amazing things. What do you do differently on? I don't want to answer that. It doesn't ask it, but like, I don't want to say, what do you do differently for Shabbat?
Let's put brown sugar on his oven.
Let's add everybody secrets right now. What do you do different? How do you make Shabbat? And it's hard. In a normal world, in a secular world, you've got all the things to do, and you only have 2 days between Friday and Monday, most weeks, to get anything done. How do you find time to make it feel holy?
So something that I do, which might not seem like a fun thing, but really has paid dividends, ironically, in using that metaphor, is I try to remove myself from the economic system for Shabbat. I try to not handle money. I try to not, including with credit cards, I try to, fill up the tank with gas before Shabbat starts and have my meals done. But I really, for me, it seems like choosing not to be part of the economic system reminds me to wait and to be satisfied with what I have, even if it's just for a day. And I totally admit that there are moments where it's frustrating, but overall, when I made that decision a couple of years ago and it has paid off, again, it's another metaphor that is ironic in this situation. But if you've never tried it, choose a Shabbat and try having a Shabbat where what you have already is enough.
That's hard.
I know.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have things they do? Yeah.
I sleep a lot.
You sleep a lot. Oh, that sounds fantastic. One day we'll tell me how to do that. Yeah, we try to take it out. I'll tell you, this is embarrassing. I nap best on the floor. If I crawl into bed, I'll be asleep for 3 hours. That's not good for me. I'll sit on the floor, having the kids jump on me while I sleep. Oh, it's fantastic. But yeah, just take a little nap during the day, just to turn everything else off. Whatever it is that you do, try to find a way to make Shabbat feel different. And all of you here are doing that, right? You're coming to shul today. Most of you, most of you weren't in shul yesterday. This is different. This is nice. This is nice to see, to be in touch with some different part of yourself than you are in your day to day. And so how nice that it is that we get to be here singing with Mariana, something we don't get to do on a normal Tuesday afternoon. But tonight we get to it. So page 64, our line page 46. Get in touch with this day with the words of the Shabbat. Think of how much we need Shabbat. My last meeting today was online with a Zoom meeting with somebody I had never met before. She starts off the meeting by introducing herself. She says, "Hi, my name is Lori." And she pauses and she goes, "No, it's not." She got her name wrong. So exhausted. Her name was Lauren, and she was very close. She was very close. But she gave it and it wasn't hers. That's how exhausted she was. I feel it in the world, not all the time. Once in a while it seeps through the computer screen. We go, we just need a nap. We just need a day to breathe and to sing some ancient songs and just to feel that we can reconnect with ourselves with everything else inside. So it's nice that we can remember our names, hopefully, after tonight. And if you're sticking around after services, remind somebody else of your name. Introduce yourself to somebody. Let other people get to know you as well. We feel like a community. But for now, I'd like to invite Bree up here to take over our microphone to lead us in a Chatzi Kaddish on page 66. If you're joining us online, we're on page 46. Those who are able, please rise. Page 68 or 69 is the beginning of the Amidah for the evening. Our line is page 47. A moment of personal prayer, personal check-in with yourself, using the words in the Hebrew or the English, or just words in your own heart. When you're finished, you may be seated. Before you sing, lead us in song, we're going to first say a Misha Dora. Those who have a blue CD-or here can turn to the inside back cover of your CD-or for the words of Misha Dora, the prayer of healing. Take a moment to collect all the names, all the people you're thinking of today who could use healing, spiritual healing, physical healing, and mental healing, and all the different kinds of healings there are. All the people who could use a phone call, a text, a check-in, and comfort from God above. So we sing the words of Bishop. Young Hannah to lead us in Kaddish Shabbat, page 86, or online, page 54. Please rise. We invite Michael and Alec to come up here and lead us in Kiddush. Their daughter is on our side. Let's see how they do up everybody here. We turn now to page 118. Thank you, Dad. We're going to receive that. We're going to remain standing. You know, yeah, sure. Now then, what we say later, let the girls come up here and lead us in promoting. Page 118 or online, page 56, the words of Alleluia, we face the ark.
Learn something every day. Today I learned not to take a large bite of hollow right before Elena.
You may be seated. With this week, we begin the 8th to 14th of Kislev, and our community notes the yard sites of Chaim Budayski, Dorothy Weiss, Leonard E. Kaplan, Solomon Stachel, Sadok Harrelson, David Grosser, Elizabeth Fair, Beth Chislav, Jane Goodman, Marie Heidenbaum, Bertha Winterstein, Brent Shalom, Desiderio Kellerman, Isadore Cohn, Joshua Alford, Lillian Gurian, Fanny Friedman, Sadie Gavrilowitz, Shifra Oderoff, Sylvia Schneider, Boris Norman Petrov, Frida Perlman, Julius Agan, Rena Salfeld, Shana Kogan, Anna Bickerman, Betty Honingsberg, Bull Benediste, David Katz, Gerald O. Heyman, Marcel Carlin, Rose Fisher, Sam Katzberg, Ethel Miriam Hamlish, Murray M. Rothenberg, Regina Greenstein, and Sarah Kramer. May their memories be a blessing. Some of you, if you're interested in sharing something about a loved one, you're welcome to do so. I believe that Bonnie, who's online, is going to share with us for just a moment or another. Bonnie, can you hear us?
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. The letter that I'm going to read was written by my dad in 1984. My mom had passed away in the 70s and my father remarried, and his wife's grandson had an assignment to interview someone in the family. So my father wrote a mini autobiography. Dear Greg, I'm going to give you a miniature autobiography. I was born in Austria, 1906, in the town of Chortkov, with a population of about 3,000. Before I grew up, the country became Poland in 1919. When my mother died in 1916 and my father was in the United States, I was only 9.5 years old. I had to live with my uncle, aunt, and 3 grown-up female cousins. It wasn't that easy to take orders from all of them. As soon as World War I was over, 1919, I tried to go to my father in America. In 1921, I succeeded in obtaining a passport and traveled by myself at age 14 and a half. I traveled through Poland by train, then to Holland by boat, through the Kiel Canal in the Baltic Sea, and arrived in Rotterdam. There, I boarded an ocean liner bound for New York. After 2 weeks at sea, I was admitted to Ellis Island and there waited for my father to pick me up. My father sent me to public school in New York City to learn English. In 1.5 years, I graduated and went to work. I worked 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, and attended high school at night. In 4 years, I graduated high school. The high school taught me English, American history, algebra, geometry, biology, chemistry, and physics. All of this helped me pass civil service exams. In 1930, I was appointed to the U.S. Veterans Administration and stood there 32 years, rising gradually to a supervisory position. In 1961, I retired from the federal service and passed a New York City civil service exam to become a social service investigator. In 1976, I retired from New York City and continued my education at New Rochelle High School. I obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1983. Now, the next part is the thing that I wrote. In 1983, that was the year of my daughter Wendy's bat mitzvah. And we were here in Thousand Oaks and we celebrated both events, her bat mitzvah and my dad getting a college degree in the old sanctuary. And the Pasco sanctuary had not been built yet. My dad was also the financial secretary of the Rabbi David Moses Friedman Society of Chortkov, Poland. This was a benevolent society of immigrants from their town in Galicia. The group bought into a cemetery located in Queens, Beth David Cemetery, and that is where most of my family is buried. And I used to help my dad send out the statements, the quarterly statements from the society.
Thank you so much for sharing that about your dad. May his memory continue to be a blessing through you and through your kids and grandkids and all of your work. Does anybody else have a yard site this week, want to share, some people share on Saturdays, some share during the week? Other names that we can have on our list. Those in a period of mourning or observing the yard site are welcome to rise on page 124 or online, that's your page 58 for the words of Kaddish Shalom, the mourners, so Kaddish Atom, the mourners Kaddish. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shamay, Rabah, Be'alma, Yibarach, Yurute, Be'amlich, Malchute, the Hayechom, the Yomechom, the Chay, the Kol Beit Israel. Ba'am Allah, U'izman Karim, Be'ru, Amen. Yehei Shmei, Rabba, Mevorach, Be'olam, Amen, Amaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitbamam, V'yitnaseh. Bit Hadar, Bit Ale, Bit Halal, Shemei, Rishad, Leela, Bit Kol, Berchata, Bishirata, Tush Bechata, Benechamata, Amiram Me'alma, Bihimru, Amen. Yehei Shalama Rama Min Shemaya, Bechayim Aleim, Be'al Yisrael, Bihimru, Amen. Osei Shalom, Bimamav, Kuya Asei Shalom, Aleim, Be'al Yisrael, Bihimru, Amen. I want to thank you all for being here tonight, for joining us for davening. I want to thank Bree and Hannah for leading our service, and Rivka for prompting them, and as always, Mariano. And
Thank you, Rabbi.
thank you, Rachel, for getting us music so nicely. Tomorrow morning, 9:30 in the morning, we have Bree's bat mitzvah at 5. In the evening, we have Hannah's bat mitzvah. And tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we have a quick Havdalah. There's a few more things. Sunday. Hebrew school, Minyan, all those things. And during Hebrew school, we've got a meeting for the 7th grade families who have been mitzvah coming up to let them know about this process. And then afterwards, there's hike with Abba. Those of you who want to join us for a hike with Abba, anybody can come. Whether or not you have an Abba, a dad, a mom, someone to join you, you can come for a hike. That's the botanic garden.
It's really beautiful.
And the week continues. We have all the handouts, you know what's going on. We include
With Odiavo, Shalom, Alein. Peace. Come back to us in peace again. Work of our lives. Odiavo, Shalom, Alein. Odiavo, Shalom, Alein. Odiavo, Shalom, Alein. Shalom.